can you reach that over there? Thank you very much.
I'd like to know your opinion about the burgeoning ClimateGate scandal and the IPCC fraudulent emails that have been leaked out, which basically show that the data has been toyed with for decades, and effectively there's no way to really determine that there's any global warming going on at all.
No, listen, I'll answer that straight away. No, and I appreciate your viewpoint, and I totally respect that. That's, at the end of the day, that's what opinions are for, and that diversity in opinions is what creates change, and curiosity creates change. And, the reality is that climate science is a very, very broad area, and there's many variables in climate modeling that's outside of our control. And unfortunately, because of the pure nature of it, that has been used extensively by individuals and corporations and governments to manipulate the system, to be able to try and tell us a story that our planet isn't actually changing because of our impact. And we start to create this very futile debate. And it is a futile debate, because at the end of the day, we're only kidding ourselves. No one else is going to lose out apart from us, and our children, and their children, and their children. Right? And so what we have to do is we have to say, okay, let's park that issue, right? Because we're never going to get an agenda that's a global governance agenda as we saw in Copenhagen, because there's too many vested interests. But let's focus on the things that are fingerprints that are undeniable. The plastic in our ocean, the degradations of our forests, the degradation of topsoil, the collapse of our marine fisheries. Pollution is rife. And you know what? 100 years ago there wasn't plastic. And now we've got fingerprints everywhere that are poisoning our children, poisoning us, and are causing undeniable damage to our natural systems. And they are blocking up the code of nature. And so when we look at it, it says, you know what, if you don't believe in that, just go outside and look at what's going on around you. Look at the loss of all these things that we need to support us. Nature is our life support system. So the argument, and if you've been dragged into it, then basically you're a chess piece in the game of big business that is using you to try and believe that we aren't having an impact. Believe me, we are.
Συνεχίζει λοιπόν και λέει ο Άγιος Ιωάννης ο Δαμασκηνός, δεν γίνεται βέβαια άνθρωπος ο ίδιος ο διάβολος, σύμφωνα με την ανατρόπιση του Κυρίου, ποτέ κάτι τέτοιο. Αλλά γεννάται ένας άνθρωπος από πορνεία και δέχεται όλη την ενέργεια του σατανά. Επειδή δηλαδή ο Θεός προγνωρίζει τη διεστραμμένη προαίρεση που πρόκειται να έχει, επιτρέπει να κατοικήσει μέσα εις αυτόν ο διάβολος. Λέει ο Αντίχριστος δεν θα έρθει κατά τον τρόπο, κατά αντίθετο τρόπο που ήρθε ο Χριστός, δηλαδή να ενανθρωπίσει ο διάβολος, αλλά θα είναι ένας άνθρωπος στον οποίο θα μπει μέσα η ενέργεια του σατανά. Όταν λέμε θα μπει μέσα την ενέργεια του σατανά, μην φανταστείτε ότι η ενέργεια του σατανά θα μπει μέσα στον άνθρωπο και θα αρχίσει ο άνθρωπος να ουρλιάζει και να κάνει αυτά που κάνουν οι δαιμονισμένοι. Ο Αντίχριστος ήταν ένας άνθρωπος πανέξυπνος, παμπώνηρος, πανέμορφος, θα έχει όλα τα εξωτερικά χαρίσματα, τα οποία μπορεί να μας πείσουν ότι όντως αυτός ο άνθρωπος ήρθε από τον ουρανό για να μας βοηθήσει. Δηλαδή η ενέργεια του διαβόλου θα είναι τόσο ύπουλη μέσα του, που ο άνθρωπος αυτός θα εργάζεται το κακό και θα μας πείσει για το κακό χωρίς να το καταλάβουμε. Έτσι θα είναι και ο διάβολος, δηλαδή θα έχει μέσα του όλο το πνεύμα της πλάνης και της πονηρίας και της απάτης του διαβόλου, και με αυτό το πνεύμα που θα έχει μέσα του μπει στον άνθρωπο αυτόν, λόγω της κακής του προαιρέσεως, που το επέτρεψε ο Θεός λόγω της κακής προαιρέσεως, όπως λέει ο Άγιος, με αυτό το πνεύμα λοιπόν θα εξαπατήσει όλη την οικουμένη. Και πάλι εδώ είπαμε συγκεκριμένα για άνθρωπο ο Άγιος Ιωάννης. Πρόσωπο, άνθρωπος, πραγματικός άνθρωπος λοιπόν είναι ο Αντίχριστος. Και λέει, γεννάται λοιπόν από πορνεία, όπως είπαμε, και ανατρέπεται κρυφά και εξεγείρεται και επαναστατεί και βασιλεύει. Θα είναι ένας άνθρωπος που θα γεννηθεί μέσα από την αμαρτία, από πορνεία, θα ανατραφεί λέει κρυφά, δεν θα φαίνεται ότι αυτός θα παίξει, δηλαδή αυτό θα πει κρυφά, δεν σημαίνει ότι θα είναι κρυφά, θα ανατραφεί κρυφά, δηλαδή στην αρχή μέχρι να αναδειχθεί σαν κοσμοκράτορας δεν θα φαίνεται, δεν θα δείχνεται ότι αυτός είναι ο οποίος όπως λέμε είναι ο βασιλιάς και είναι ο διάδοχός του, είναι αυτός που θα βασιλεύσει. Όλοι μας ξέρουμε ότι αυτός κάποτε θα βασιλεύσει, ας είναι μικρό παιδί. Θα ανατραφεί κρυφά, δηλαδή θα είναι απαρατήρητος μέχρι την ανάδειξή του. Αυτό σημαίνει θα ανατραφεί κρυφά. Και στην αρχή της βασιλείας του, ή καλύτερα της τυραννικής εξουσίας του, προσποιείται την αγιότητα. Όταν όμως κυριαρχήσει, καταδιώκει την Εκκλησία του Θεού και εκδηλώνει όλη την πονηρία του. Εδώ, σε αυτό το σημείο, να πούμε κάποιες σκέψεις. Λέει ότι στην αρχή θα έρθει και θα προσποιείται την αγιότητα. Η προσποίηση είναι η υποκρισία. Αυτή είναι και αυτή ένα δαιμονικό έργο, διαβολικό έργο. Η υποκρισία είναι μεγάλο έργο του διαβόλου, η υποκρισία. Θα προσποιηθεί λοιπόν αλήθως καταρχάς την αγιότητα, ότι ήρθε για το καλό της ανθρωπότητας και ότι θα φέρει καλό στην ανθρωπότητα, θα κάνει και κάποια καλά στην ανθρωπότητα για να το πιστέψει. Ο δεν θα λέει μόνο λόγια και με τα έργα θα δείξει ότι ήρθε να φέρει, θα δείξει την αγιότητά του, την καλοσύνη του, την πραγματικότητά του, τη συγχωρητικότητά του κλπ. Στην αρχή. Μετά όμως λέει θα καταδιώξει την Εκκλησία του Θεού.
I run a program called Adventure Ecology, and we use expeditions and art and education to connect kids on the issues of climate change and global warming. So
that's terrific, and you're pursuing modern blog-like technologies as a way to foster communication between kids and educate them?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that every kid gets to follow our expeditions live, so they become part of mission control. They all get their own mission control screens, they create their own avatars, they get to communicate about what we're seeing, we stream live from the field, so that we're taking out-of-sight, out-of-mind environments and putting them into the living rooms of kids all over the world. They then feel in control, they get to understand these adventures and understand that, you know, the fragile regions that we're traveling through in an adventurous way. So it's not about preaching to them and saying, you know, let's just go learn about the North Pole. Let's take control of a North Pole expedition. Tell us where we should go and what we should do.
So what inspired you to do this? This sounds like a Silicon Valley thing to do.
Well, you know, it was, I think climate change right now is, you know, it's a very hot issue. It's the biggest issue, but it's a very hard issue for a lot of people to understand. Right. So, you know, adventure is something that we all have inside of us. Right. You know, and whether that's an adventure of crossing the North Pole or it's an adventure of, you know, being on a date, you know, everything's an adventure. So I thought, why don't we use that and take technology, put them together and make learning an adventure, but do it in a way that we can use the tools that kids understand. I mean, you know, I'm a kid as well, but, you know.
Yeah, well, as I am, right?
Exactly, we're all kids. So the plan is to do, our next mission is we'll be building a raft made of plastic bottles. And it's an open source design competition where everyone gets to decide on how to make this boat. We'll then go build it and sail across the Pacific in a Kon-Tiki style. It's called the Plastiki. So we'll be creating this raft. It'll be a 100-day voyage from North America to the Pacific Islands in a raft made of junk, looking at ocean trash.
So what I'm sensing is you're the next generation of Richard Branson.
Maybe, you know.
So why do you come to Davos?
It's, I mean, what an opportunity. I mean, it's a place where the whole world sort of descends in this one tiny little town, and it's just a sort of a hub of creativity and inspiration. I come here, I feel that big, you know.
Well, you know, in Silicon Valley, we think we're the center of the universe, and then I come here and I go, oh. I actually sat down and counted that there are 17 kind of green-oriented discussions going on, which is unprecedented.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm being very loosely involved with, we launched last night a thing called the Book of Love. It's a project that's based on focusing on companies that can go carbon down, profits up, and really in a marketing term. So it's a really interesting project. And looking at climate change, if you had said even 2 years ago that a guy was going to get a PowerPoint presentation to talk about climate change and to become a #1 blockbuster, you know, people would say, yeah, okay. But you know, when you see what's happened with Al Gore's movie and you see how quickly it's moving, which is great because we need to catch up. The environment's moving incredibly fast, you know, and if we don't do something about it, so it's nice to see that it's on the agenda, because if we don't do something about it, then it's going to be a problem for all of us. So,
what kind of people are you looking for to help you on your projects?
I think anyone who's got passion, anyone who's got energy, who really believes in this as well. You know, we need to use technology. We need to use the net to create the climate bug. You know, I mean, to create something that we can all buy into, we can all engage on. You know, we have these amazing online communities that we all work in, and if we can combine forces, I think we can create a tipping point much faster than any government can. So that'll be the real power.
That makes my free market orientation heart go pitter-patter. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to maybe teaming up. We'd love to have some of your art and other things at our Davos meets Silicon Valley party next year, and give it a little bit of a green theme. But thank you very much, and give my best to Lord Jacob.
Θα καταδιώξει την Εκκλησία στη συνέχεια ο Αντίχριστος. Αυτό σημαίνει ότι για μας τους χριστιανούς υπάρχει το πρόβλημα. Οι άλλοι που θα τον αποδεχτούν δεν σημαίνει ότι θα είναι τυραννικός, λέει μετά θα δείξει την τυραννία του, δεν σημαίνει ότι θα είναι τυραννικός σε αυτούς που θα τον αποδεχτούν, αλλά σε αυτούς που δεν θα τον αποδεχτούν θα είναι τυραννικός ο Αντίχριστος, δηλαδή στην Εκκλησία. Η Εκκλησία, μόνο η Εκκλησία μιλάει για τον Αντίχριστο και για τα έργα του Αντιχρίστου και για τους Αντιχρίστους που θα έρθουν σαν προδρομικές καταστάσεις. Άρα λοιπόν η Εκκλησία διδάσκει να προσέχουμε και να μην αποδεχτούμε τον Αντίχριστο. Σε αυτούς λοιπόν θα είναι τυραννικός ο Αντίχριστος. Και το βλέπουμε αυτό και στη σημερινή εποχή. Ήδη το καθεστώς, οι κυβερνήσεις των ανθρώπων εδώ, ας πούμε στην πατρίδα που ζούμε, η εξουσία, η πολιτική εξουσία φέρεται τυραννικά κατεξοχήν στους χριστιανούς.
Ας δούμε λοιπόν τώρα τι είναι το κίνημα Zeitgeist, που σημαίνει σημεία των καιρών. Και να δούμε και ποιος ακριβώς είναι ο σκοπός του. Εμφανίστηκε λοιπόν σε μορφή βίντεο, το οποίο σταδιακά τελειοποιήθηκε στο διαδίκτυο, τάχα ως μια προσπάθεια χωρίς κέρδος. Δηλαδή δωρεάν, προκειμένου τάχα να μας διαφωτίσει για το τραπεζικό σύστημα και όχι μόνο. Φυσικά αυτή η όμορφη φιλοκερδής προσπάθεια κατέκλυσε το διαδίκτυο και τα πάντα και ξαφνικά είναι κίνημα και μάλιστα κίνημα θεοσοφικό. Ως κίνημα απέκτησε οπαδούς και επαγγελματικά site σε όλο τον κόσμο. Γράφουν λοιπόν στην επίσημη ελληνική ιστοσελίδα τους: το κίνημα Zeitgeist δεν είναι ένα πολιτικό κίνημα, δεν αναγνωρίζει κράτη, κυβερνήσεις, φυλές, θρησκείες ή τάξεις. Η κατανόησή μας δείχνει ότι αυτές είναι ψευδείς, ξεπερασμένες διακρίσεις που απέχουν πολύ από θετικούς παράγοντες για την πραγματική συλλογική ανθρώπινη ανάπτυξη και δυναμικό. Βάση των παραπάνων είναι η εξουσία, η διαίρεση και η διαστρωμάτωση. Δεν είναι η ενότητα και η ισότητα που είναι ο στόχος μας. Έχουμε την πρόθεση να αποκαταστήσουμε τις θεμελιώδεις ανάγκες και την περιβαλλοντική ευαισθητοποίηση μέσω της προώθησης των πιο σύγχρονων αντιλήψεων σχετικά με το ποιοι και τι πραγματικά είμαστε, σε συνδυασμό με το πώς η επιστήμη, η φύση και η τεχνολογία, φυσικά δεν υπάρχει πουθενά Θεός, τουλάχιστον ο Θεός που εμείς γνωρίζουμε και πιστεύουμε, και όχι η θρησκεία, η πολιτική και το χρήμα. Κρατούν τα κλειδιά της προσωπικής μας ανάπτυξης, όχι μόνο ως μεμονωμένα ανθρώπινα όντα, αλλά ως πολιτισμός, τόσο ατομικά όσο και πνευματικά. Δηλαδή, με λίγα λόγια, μην πιστεύετε σε ό,τι πιστεύετε μέχρι τώρα, αλλά πιστέψτε σε εμάς. Δηλαδή, μας δίνουν μια καινούργια πίστη μέσα σε ένα καινούριο πολιτικό πλαίσιο και με καινούριο χρήμα και περιβαλλοντική συνείδηση. Εν ολίγης. Λοιπόν, ο πραγματικός λοιπόν σκοπός του Zeitgeist, των σημείων των καιρών, είναι ο συγκριτισμός των θρησκειών και υπόνοιες κάποιας άλλης πνευματικότητας στη θέση τους. Τάχα μας αποκαλύπτει την απόλυτη χειραγώγηση που έχουμε υποστεί μέχρι σήμερα από τις ελίτ και ξυπνάει όντως όσους θέλουν να ξυπνήσουν. Για να κάνουμε όμως τι? Να τιμωρήσουμε τους επέτειλους? Αυτό είναι αδύνατον. Άρα το μόνο που μπορούμε είναι να είμαστε καχύποπτοι, ώστε να μην πέσουμε στην επόμενη παγίδα τους. Όχι. Το zeitgeist εξυπηρετεί τα ίδια ακριβώς συμφέροντα. Είναι γεμάτο κλασικούς μηχανισμούς προπαγάνδας, αναπόδεικτες εικασίες, σκόπιμες διαστρεβλώσεις και κυρίως αντιφάσεις, όπως ότι είναι εναντίον της παγκόσμιας κυβέρνησης, ενώ ταυτόχρονα προτείνει την παγκοσμιοποίηση. Πρώτον, διαστρεβλώνει το πρόσωπο του Χριστού. Δεύτερον, απαξιώνει τον καπιταλισμό και το νομισματικό σύστημα με σκοπό την αντικατάσταση του παρόντος νομισματικού συστήματος από ένα παγκόσμιο νόμισμα και σταδιακά την ηλεκτρονική κάρτα και το τσιπάρισμα σφράγισμα. Μας προετοιμάζει τρίτον να δεχτούμε την κατάρρευση του νομισματικού συστήματος με χαρά. Τέταρτον, μας πλασάρει μια ουτοπία γεμάτη ελπίδα και περιβαλλοντικές ανησυχίες, όπως οι ηγέτες μας στις συνεδριάσεις της Ενωμένης Ευρώπης και του ΟΗΕ. Και πέμπτον, το Venus Project, το οποίο προτείνουνε, δεν θα γίνει ποτέ πραγματικότητα. Είναι απλά μια προπαγάνδα, ώστε να φανταστούμε όλοι όσοι είμαστε επαναστάτες του συστήματος ένα μέλλον ακριβώς όπως θα το υποσχεθεί και επιβάλλει η νέα τάξη πραγμάτων. Το zeitgeist είναι μια παγίδα των δοσοπιστών για τους χριστιανούς και τους άθεους που ψάχνουν μια πίστη.
David's a wonderful man. I spent time with him in Davos recently, and it was one of the highlights of going to that great event, just to find a corner and sit and talk about the things that we were doing. I think you best sum up David by having a look at his latest venture, which is called Adventure Ecology, which combines his particular adventurous spirit and the fact that he is an adventurer and his passion for dealing with the ecological issues of the day. And you will see that as an entrepreneur, he's full of ideas and full of energy, and he's focused in on communicating in a way which is alluring and attractive the climate change issue to the vitally important resource for our future, which is children. David.
So, I have to admit, I didn't sleep very well last night. I got into bed and I realized that after 28 years of what I thought I was doing was dancing, is really not dancing at all. If you sat down last night and saw what we saw, I thought, Jesus, what have I been doing all this time? And it brings me to a brief story. I just spent the last month in the Amazon in a tiny little village on the border with Peru. And these guys, as I arrived, were sitting with their guns. You know, we're warriors. We're not going to let the oil industry, which is in the north of Ecuador, come down to the south. If you lie to us, if you tell us things that aren't true, then there's trouble. And I thought to myself, okay, fine. So we sat there, and after a few hours of drinking chicha, which is an interesting moonshine drink that they make, I'm not going to go into that, things relaxed a little. And the chief looked at me, and he pointed to the back of the room. He walked over, and he pulled out a stereo. I was like, that's a bit odd. He then pulled out Now 2 from 1982. Proceeded to put this onto the machine and said, show me how to dance. So my rope-a-dope and my little dance that I was doing last night doesn't quite cut the mustard, I guess. So I have a request to Google, please do not send the Sadler's Wells organization down to this region of the world, otherwise I will never be allowed back. I want to start by thanking everybody here today, and you know, for actually putting on this forum. It's phenomenal. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here. I feel about that big. And it's also very inspiring to sit in a room full of so many people who have achieved so much. And you look at a room like this, and being an optimist, I go, there is a collective capacity to actually make a difference. When a room or a group of individuals who have the capability to shape the way our future is get together and start to just talk to each other rather than at each other and engage, we can really, I think, meet the challenges that are global warming. When I was asked to join this group, I was asked to join green technology, and you sort of go, wow, green technology, there's thousands of them. You go into the lab, you can, Frederick here will, I'm sure, tell you about it, and I thought, what's one technology that we've kind of seen emerge over the last maybe 12 to 18 months that's really kind of shaping the way we look at our planet? It's giving us a new perception. And to me, and not just because they throw a good party, but it's got to be Google Earth. And the reason why I say that is that, I've got a clicker somewhere, hang on a second, there you go, is that, I don't know, we've all had the pleasure of sitting at our desks and just surfing the world, basically. And I think there is a huge, power in this amazing technology, which was once, you had to be an astronaut or very soon a Virgin Galactic customer to be able to experience this. But to have that power, to be able to sit and go to the Amazon, to go to the Himalayas, to go to the Gobi, all in a drop in seconds, I think really, to me, is a very powerful tool to help realign ourselves as being part of a greater whole. While also having fun, which is also important. Everyone talks about climate change and it's all very depressing, but I think we've also got to get optimistic about it and take the challenge. And I'd like to throw it out to Google that I think this is a fantastic platform to maybe even launch a Google Green version. Take that, reskin it, create a 3D resource where you can see what's going on our planet with water resources, energy resources, waste, all the other things that we are seeing happening. So to everyone who actually engineered that, congratulations. I think that's a real impressive tool. I think for me there's this thing, there's a bit of a sort of an irony, I guess, in trying to get people to connect, as he presses his button, to connect to the natural world online. So how, are we trying to say to kids, we want you to get really enthused, but actually you're going to do it all from your bedroom online? And I think that is a big challenge that we're facing right now. And to me, it's about balance. There's an interesting thing. An author called Richard Louv recently wrote a book, he coined the phrase nature deficiency disorder. And it's this notion, really, that as individuals, we can go online and we can pool resources and we can find out everything we want to know about deforestation, we can find out about the Amazon, we can find out about all these things that are happening around our planet. But when was the last time that a child actually went outside and played in the woods, or jumped in a stream, or, just basically hung out and watched the clouds go past? Sounds a bit hippie-ish, that one, but actually, to me, it's very important and was definitely an inspiration for me to really look at this notion of nature deficiency disorder that we're seeing in kids. And like I said, I think it is a balance. We need to use the powerful tools that are the web to engage, but we also need to, I think, get them to start to explore the outside and be part of the system, so they realize that we're not, there's this sort of false dichotomy that's nature and us. No, we're all actually on the same line. To me, I found this inspiration. I'm not sure if this is working. Is that? No? Okay. To me, I found my inspiration standing at the bottom of what was the Axel Heiberg Glacier. It's pretty intimidating, and that was at that point when I thought, you know what, Dave, you've really got to be careful what you ask for in life. It was setting out on a 100-day voyage across Antarctica. I was part of a 4-man team, 1,600 kilometers, and I felt, again, like a speck of dust. And really, for the next 3 months, I was nothing more than a speck of dust on what is one of, arguably, the most majestic, environmentally challenged, and fragile continents on our planet. And you spend anywhere between 9 to 15 hours a day with your head down, pulling a sled which weighs over 100, 200 pounds, and you have a lot of time to think. And for me, it was at that point that I think I really kind of grasped the how cold it was, but really, as I was saying, going back to this nature deficiency disorder, really grasped this notion of our role on the planet and who we are as individuals. And it was at that point that I think I really realized that it was our ability to live on this planet that we're putting in jeopardy. Yes, we have a fragile ecosystems that we have to protect, but we're protecting them for a reason. It's for us. And I think when I started that challenge, when I went into that challenge, if I was to be completely honest, it was to sort of, I say scratch an itch, but to, I'm always interested in what was going on outside the window rather than inside, and it was probably a bit of driven by natural curiosity, it was driven by maybe a bit of ego, I don't know, but it was driven probably from a slightly selfish place. And when I returned from this expedition, I realized that once you start to share the stories and you start to talk about things, and you'll naturally you start to engage, you get people coming up to you and talking to you and saying, how do you do this, how do you do that, what is, and what I realized was that actually this power of captivation in effectively what is storytelling can either continue along the lines of, I am a polar hero and I can do one-arm push-ups and all the other things that probably go with the usual sort of polar rhetoric that we get. And I thought, actually, you know what? It's not about that. It's about taking these issues and this captivation and using that as a powerful tool to actually realign ourselves, our understanding that it is about our environmental responsibility. It's about us as individuals, taking what is really a very complicated challenge, but also a very manageable challenge. I became a bit of an obsessed man. I became determined that I would tell my story. I'm just going to quickly pull this in here. Sorry. And I basically became, I wanted to take this and move people away from seeing the environmental crisis as a problem that was too abstract, that was too big to solve or too intimidating, and see that we could all become a community of change. And how could we drive that change? For me, my expedition had ended, the energy of the expedition was dissipating, and it was about capturing that momentum and using it for something. So I realized that after talking to people, that there's a sort of a common thread among human beings, and that is that we are all dreamers, maybe some more than others, but there's one demographic within society that are more dreamers than others, and that's children. And to me, the notion of taking a dream and taking it from that thought process to making it reality is an adventure. And it was about, well, we all then have an adventure inside of us. And it's how you perceive that adventure. It doesn't have to be, climbing a mountain, swimming an ocean. It could be going on a date. It could be doing the dance with the tribe. It could be standing here today. What I was hoping to do was to take the notion of adventure and use it and use it as a way to engage people and saying, actually, the adventure that we should all be on is saving the planet. And so after I got back from Antarctica, I launched Adventure Ecology. And the idea was to make learning an adventure. And the most important thing was finding the right mix. A mix that would educate, but also entertain. A mix that could answer, yet challenge. And it was a mix that ultimately would let individuals make informed decisions. I was determined to say that no longer should green be about the activist on one side or the dolphin-loving, rainbow-wearing guy on the other side. This was about taking it mainstream. This was about keeping it simple, combining adventure, ecology, education. But also, very importantly, at a time when information technology is shaping the way we learn, the way we socialize, the way we interact with each other, it was obviously going to be a challenge as well, and to maximize this experience, to say, how did we create a platform that would engage the digital natives who are growing up with computers coming out of their ears, not literally, and the digital immigrants. For me, it was about giving users a sense of control, the idea that we created mission control. This was a platform that would help the kids to interact. They'll be able to use the information that we were presenting them to create their own adventures. Every kid gets their own mission control. They get to create their own avatar. They use EECs, or they earn EECs, which are an interactive reward system. But it was more than that. As I said, going back to balance, it was about using the web, using this technology to inspire children and our users to go out and take their own real-life, hands-on projects, sustainable projects. And by using the platform that we've created, we're doing right that. We are doing that right now. We've managed to create a platform that engages, It gives children the opportunity to learn on the issues, to share the issues, to act and to speak in a way that isn't intimidating, which is engaging. It gives them the opportunity to take these serious issues, make them something that they can own, take control of, and see themselves of being part of the problem to becoming part of the solution. Now, the fun bit, as I was saying, this is a shot from Ecuador. We've started to move now to getting kids to be able to use this technology to actually access us in real time when we're in the field. And I'll put something out there to the audience. It sounds far more impressive than it really is. And if there's anybody who knows how to take and help us get that to go further, I have this vision of one day of Billy in Bolton sitting in his bedroom and his mum's going, "Come down to dinner, Billy." And he's like, "Shut up, Mum, I'm telling the expedition to go over the mountains in Madagascar." You know, giving them that interaction, giving them that feeling would be amazing. But we create this platform where kids get to come online, they get to follow us, we talk to them from the field, we give them interactions, we help them to access information through a customizable learning platform, widget-based technology where they can use cartoons, they can use animations. But to me, what's important and what's really, coming back to that notion of giving them a sense of power is about saying, if we give kids the tools to design the solutions, they will design them. We are seeing children leading these discussions right now. But more exciting, it's actually becoming a place where they empower us and inspire us. I say that because we're seeing children mentoring and inspiring their peers every single day by creating projects that they then take back to friends, family, individuals. Recycling movement was a great idea. When we saw the robot earlier, you're guaranteed that every one of those kids who sat there in front of that robot has gone home straight away and said, "I either want a robot or you're going to start doing that every single day." And it's happening. What's fun for me as well is that we're changing. The explosion of new technology, the coming of age of the web has opened up a whole host of opportunities for us to be able to actually engage in a more exciting manner. I'm a gamer. I understand the allure of the virtual world, and I know that we saw a lot yesterday with Second Life, and there is conversations that, gaming, isn't it awful? It's making our kids, go the wrong direction. But I think it's a powerful tool. And recently I had the pleasure of working with an agency called Ogilvy, which you probably all know. And we basically thought about how could we get our message out to a wide audience. So I'm just going to run a little video of a fun thing we did.
The reach of Second Life is tiny, with an average of just 20,000 people in world at any one time. It's not huge or significant by any means, but it seems that everyone in there is either a journalist or a blogger. That's why we decided Second Life was a natural place to get the world to hear Adventure Ecology's environmental awareness message. The world is in climate crisis.
Tony Blair said global warming threatened 40% of the world's species with extinction, 200 million people with flooding, and, the new economic concern, 20% of the world's wealth.
The consequences for our planet are literally disastrous.
To bring the dangers of this crisis to life, we staged Second Life's first mass event, a virtual flood. The shocked residents of Second Life found creative ways to cope. Adventure Ecology avatars directed Second Life residents to their website. Here, they could learn how to prevent this from happening in the real world. Within hours, News services and influential bloggers had commented on Adventure Ecology's climate crisis event. The message has reached more than 18 million people globally. Whilst costing nothing to produce or run, this event led to Adventure Ecology experiencing a 54% increase in traffic to their website, with a tenfold increase in blog mentions. Most people pay for media. We bought ours with a powerful idea that got talked about. This is not advertising, nor PR, nor digital. It's a whole new way of reaching a mass audience.
The planet. We think we have one. Well, we only do have one, actually. And right now, as probably some of you will know and read, we're living well past our means. We're actually living what I call a three-planet economy. And as you just saw from that, there are a number of tools available on the web, which I guess you can class as green technology. They give us the opportunity to basically further our understanding of the issues. But to me, I don't think there are any quick fixes. I think that innovation is vital. I think we should keep pushing our boundaries, and I think we should keep trying to achieve those breakthroughs in green technology. And I admire the work that Frederick and my other distinguished guests are going to talk about. But to me personally, it's more importantly about changing our attitude. It's about creating a new ideology, about living within our resources, living within our means. It's changing our relationship with nature to say that it's not just about what can we extract, it should be about what can we learn. It's about actually changing our own story of why we're here on this planet. I mean, it's this notion that, that this ideology, we're driving ourselves to expand beyond our limits. I think it's because we've got this notion that this planet was put here exclusively for us. And to me, it's amazing to think that right now, one species out of a potential anywhere between 30 to 100 million species, one species, us, is consuming 40% of the net primary productivity. That's all energy and food resources available to all other species. One species, us, is taking 50% of the planet's fresh water and leaving all the others to fight for what's left. And, for all those stats, we can keep on talking about them, and we can, and they sort of after a while you go, I'm statted out, and I've seen the graphs, and I know it's all bad. But I think we all have to sort of stop and go back and look at our daily imprints, really evaluate what we're doing in our everyday actions, reducing our ecological footprint, and for what we're calling at the moment, a bug. That was, I don't know how that got in there. That was meant to be with a species slide. Huge bug. We'll move on from that one. What we're calling for our planet. And it's this notion of saying, yes, it's about recycling. Yes, it's about reducing and reusing. But more importantly, it's also about rethinking. As we saw, it's about, in the beginning, it's about saying, waste, it's not waste management, it's resource management. We live in a closed system. And as we heard before, my waste is your treasure, and your treasure is my waste. And so it's about introducing and getting this new mindset and putting people into a place where they believe that they can make a difference, they can engage without feeling intimidated. It leads me on when we're talking about waste. I want to quickly touch on our next expedition. If I look around the room, under everybody's chairs, I think we've all got plastic bottles, and I don't know how many plastic bottles would be consumed over the last day or so and throughout the conference. But basically what we want to try and do in a new exhibition that's coming up in the second in our series, we want to, it's probably that many actually, I think I saw him leaving the back entrance earlier. But the idea is we're looking to use really rethinking, I'm flashing so I'm going to hurry this one up, basically rethinking our way, taking intelligent design, technology, and using kind of the true adventurer spirit of what was the Kon-Tiki. We'll be building a craft made of plastic bottles, which will be setting sail on. It's going to be called the Plastiki. It's going to be an adventure voyage to document ocean trash across the Pacific. We'll be leaving at the end of 2008, early 2009. It will be probably a 100-day or more voyage using the power of the web and using the power of all the tools we have available to connect us. I know we're short on time, so I have to call it quits there. So, thank you. I hope that we get to talk a bit more in a minute. Thanks. Sorry about that.